Jeff Okudah. I made this comparison, and it's going to make some people upset, and you're going to tell me I'm overreacting. I'm not saying he's this guy, but I'm just asking. What's that Alex Jones, Eric Cartman thing? I'm just asking questions. Here's the picture.
No.
Okay. Are you telling? Did I make these numbers up? Did I tell Ben, hey, make these stats up so I can make Justin Rogers upset on my show tonight? No. These are the facts. And some people just listen and don't watch, so they don't know what we're talking about yet. Pro Football Focus. I always say it's not the end all be all, but it's very good. I mean, they never have like Tom Brady as the 37th best quarterback in the league, and Nick Foles is the best. Like it tracks with sort of common sense. Typically, it's a good metric. Teez Tabor was so bad in 2018 that they got rid of him 2 years after drafting him in the second round. His Pro Football Focus score that year, 2018, right before getting cut and obliterated out of the league forever, was 29.9. Now, that's basically getting like a 35% on your science exam in high school. 29.9. Jeff Okudah last year, 32.2. Of all the cornerbacks with their coverage score with Pro Football Focus, 2018 Teez Tabor was 118 out of 120 eligible corners in coverage score. Jeff Okudah last year, 115 out of 121. So you're talking about both, and by the way, the other guys around them on that list, like right behind them, were like 7th round picks forced into action because 3 guys got hurt. There weren't any other 1st and 2nd round picks on that list. So I'm not saying he is Teez Tabor, but I bring that comparison in just to paint the picture of how bad last year was. So let's clarify that. I'm not saying he's Teez Tabor.
All right, really quick. Does Ben have access to PFF in there?
No, I doubt it. I can pull it up on my computer because I have the account.
Pull up Darius. Pull up Darius Slay's first year.
You're gonna have to have an account though, because it's like
it's
I can
$200 thing.
I can pull it up.
All right,
so I'm pulling up Slay's first year.
Slay's first year. I don't know what year it was. 2015, 16. I don't know. Listen, here's why I can say we can even have the conversation of Okudah and Tabor being in the same conversation. The expectation for draft slot versus ultimate performance, right? Tabor was always bad, but he was a second rounder. He should have been bad, but there were hints and signs and people always saying like, why? Like the speed is the number one thing, right? Like, why would you even do it? The red flags were there. Okudah didn't have those flags. Like I talked to people before the draft, including one who scouted Ohio State. So we're talking a Midwest scout for an NFL team who said, not only would I be comfortable taking Jeff Okudah at number 3, in my meeting with my team, I said I would be okay with taking him as the number 1 overall player in the draft. I don't agree. I wouldn't take a defensive back number 1 overall. But to hear an NFL scout for, I'll go as far as say, a successful NFL franchise, somebody you would have thrown up on there on that screen, having a very calm, robotic conversation with a draft pick, said Okudah had everything. He also scouted Chase Young, obviously, and he said Okudah to him was the safer pick than Chase Young. Again, I'm going to take the defensive end if I'm running a draft, but I'm not. I'm a reporter. So Jeff Okudah had a bad rookie year. Let's take the factors into account. 1, most cornerbacks struggle rookie year. Let's not judge a guy on his rookie year. 2, not a normal rookie year. Whole offseason was virtual. He didn't even get a rep on the practice field until training camp, and then missed half of training camp with an injury, missed the first 2 games with an injury, and then he has what, basically is the equivalent to a sports hernia and, can't turn and run the way that he should. Got a coaching staff that maybe isn't the best in terms of supporting him and making him feel better. There's immense amount of pressure because he's drafted as the guy that is the job saver at number 3. He's supposed to come in here and save the coaches and GM's job. Like, it just was a combination of just a shitstorm for Jeff Okudah as a rookie, and didn't go well. Also, who was Jeff Okudah covering as a rookie? versus Teez Tabor. Teez Tabor was rolling out there covering second and third wide receivers. Okudah's out there covering Julio Jones and Devontae Adams and
covering. Well, let's put it the term
DeAndre
covering
Hopkins.
very, very lightly because there wasn't a whole lot of coverage taking place.
You're talking about the best of the best of the best that the NFL has to offer, and he absolutely got his ass kicked. But in reality, that's probably a good thing for him, right? He's now seen the best this league has offered. You got those Slay stats you ready to show?
Oh, I had a couple stats I pulled up since you gave me some time.
Yeah.
First of all, I'll get to Slay in 5 seconds.
Junk as a rookie.
You talk about, rookie, COVID, no training camp, play the world's smallest violin. C.J. Henderson, the next cornerback drafted in Okudah's draft, not saying he was great, but his coverage score, 58.3, which is like double Okudah's.
Yeah.
It's basically...
And now he's apparently on the trade block. It's like they're already done with him.
Okay, but this is just the context of how bad it was. Like, a 58.3 is like a C. It's not a good score, but it's like you're probably the 45th best in the league.
It might actually be like a D.
A D plus.
Okay.
I'm grading on a curve. Like he's maybe like the 55th best. Middle of the pack to slightly beyond the
Hit
median.
me with the Slay.
Oh, well, I'm just saying that's double Okudah. That's another rookie with COVID. What was poor Okudah?
Who was he covering? Was he the number one corner in their system?
I honestly don't know. There are Ramsey, and then
that's maybe the flaw of PFF is there's no comparative measure. It's not
that's fair. I'm
DVOA or whatever.
Okay, but it's objectively like one of the worst years ever, and it
was not good.
And this is for a third overall pick, and not just third overall pick. They haven't seen a third overall pick at that position since Sean Springs.
Sure.
Sean Springs in 1997, who, by the way, had a really good career and made all-pro teams. So, okay, you said Darius Slay.
Yep.
It was your point in bringing him up that, Slay was terrible. First of all, Slay was a second-round pick.
Yep.
So the
number 2 corner, playing behind Chris Houston.
Okay.
So he's seeing the number 2 receivers, and he still got benched for a 48-year-old Rasheed Mathis.
Okay. The 36th overall pick and the 3rd overall pick for the first time at that position.
Well, you got Teez Tabor, so I want to get...
Bill Clinton hadn't even been impeached yet when Sean Springs was drafted at that spot. I mean, just...
Give me the Slay numbers.
Okay.
Stop going around in circles.
Slay, okay. What was Okudah? Can you throw that graphic back up? And what was Okudah? 32-something, his coverage score? Darius Slay, who was your silver bullet example of how wrong I am about how bad Okudah was. Okay, 32.2.
Yeah.
Second round pick, Darius Slay, this is 2013, his rookie year, 53.6. 53.6? That's over 20 points better than Okudah.
Covering the number 2 wide receiver on a team. It's different. It's different. What's the difference between covering Calvin Johnson and Nate Burleson?
What did Okudah have to do for you to be like, oh, man, I do have some concerns. Pass out on the field from heat exhaustion?
It was an awful rookie season. But I immediately, when you draft a cornerback in the first round, it's the same way you expect Dan Campbell to fail, right? I expect a rookie cornerback to struggle in his first season. It is 90% likely. Is there guys that succeed? Is there Denzel Wards of the world? There are. But more often than not, they fail. And I gave you the other factors I think came into it. So where I'm really turning AI to Okudah is this year. I need to see it now. I need to see that Slay jump from year one to year 2. Because Darius Slay was damn good in year 2.
Yes, he was.
Damn good. He went and moved in with Rod Woodson and drank whatever Rod Woodson drinks, probably those pomegranate juices, because I assume that's what everybody drinks that gets really good at things. And
he jumped to 68.5, so he made for a second-year guy, it's a huge jump.
Yeah.
He got 30% better.
He went from the number 2 corner to the number 1 corner on that team.
Yeah.
So he made that jump with seeing a greater level of competition. Jeff Okudah's the number 1 corner on this team now. He's the number 1 guy. He has to be better. He also had no pass rush last year. That's another factor I didn't mention. Just nothing. A guy can only cover a guy so long. So I'm watching Jeff Okudah now, right? And we'll get to the preseason game in a minute. The dude looks like a different player on the practice field. It's the practice field. It's not games. Preseason games aren't regular season games. There's a ton he has to prove, but you could even see it just in the way he moves, the way he looks. The confidence level is so much higher. He looked like a deer in headlights as a rookie. He was overwhelmed. It's not surprising. You go from a scheme at Ohio State where your job is, as Aubrey Pleasant put it, there's your man, go shut him down. Now suddenly you've got communications, checks, route concepts working off each other. He got his ass kicked. He sucked.